Dan Lawless here for West Ham Fan TV, and I'm here with Ray from Man City Fan Chat. We've got a Man City fan finally. It seems like we've been doing, in all the time we've been doing it, we've been doing collabs. We haven't done one with a Man City fan yet, so it's always good.
Mate, always available, always available.
Well, it's good to finally have a Man City fan on, and I'm liking the jacket. It's the right colours.
I've got to be honest, I was in London, it's the only jacket I had.
Did you nick it from David Sullivan? I'm sure he's got one like that.
I've got a couple like this, mate, so he'd be nicking them from me.
Yeah.
He's a bit smaller than me, isn't he?
Yeah, quite a bit. But yeah, he has got one just like it, but I like the colours.
Whenever I go to Burnley, this jacket. West Ham, this jacket. Aston Villa, this jacket. So there you go.
That's it. Blending himself in. But yeah, so we've got the long-time Man City fans, so it's good. We can have a little bit of chat.
Yeah,
game tomorrow. First, I want to ask you, right, how does it feel to be a Man City fan these days? Because a lot of us can only dream, right? We can only dream.
Yeah.
You must be on cloud. Does it still? Have you gotten used to it as it is, or does it still? Are you still sort of feel like I can't believe it, and you still feel like remember the old days, and you're like?
Well, you remember some of the old days, but we're way past Cloud 9. Yeah. Honestly, way past Cloud 9. You know, some of the times when everyone knows our history. We've been down there. I mean, 20 years ago, we were in this third tier, scrambling to get out. We've been up and down, been through people like Stuart Pearce, where we scored, I think, after Christmas at home, about one or two goals in the whole 4 or 5 months. We've had some really bad times, mismanagement, where we've got money. We were, I think, 6th wealthiest club in the country, but we've had money and we've wasted it for whatever reason. And I used to tell people a story. I used to live in Guildford when I started work back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I used to go around London a lot to watch City play, and I never saw us win a game. Never. We were that poor, and I hardly ever saw us score a goal. So that's what you get used to, and it's still you have to pinch yourself as you've seen yourself get better and better and better. And I honestly don't think there's not that arrogance with most City fans. Some of the new ones, some of the young ones, okay, it's the way of the world, but we're just enjoying the ride.
I think you know what? Yeah, I think that's why. I mean, from most fans, especially most West Ham, you don't get the hatred because, like, you're not insufferable with it. Yeah. Like I don't, especially social media. You don't really see the arrogance and that insufferability that you get with a lot of fans and the entitlement. And I think that's what. I
think that's it. I think that's what we used to hate or dislike from Liverpool fans. They still feel entitled. They haven't won the league for 30 years, but they still feel it's their year and they're entitled. United now, they're going through a really bad patch and they don't see it coming. They don't realise that they could end up like Liverpool, and they still feel entitled. We're the biggest club in the world, everything else. You can see it now with Arsenal fans. They dropped down into Europa League twice. This will be their 3rd season in the Europa League. They still feel entitled to be where they were 15 years ago. Yeah. Spurs fans haven't won the league since, well, long before I was born. It was 61. And they still feel a little bit of entitlement, not as much because they've gone through such a long period without success. So you get that, and it's distasteful to think that because a team was successful in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, that they should be successful forevermore. I mean, in that case, why don't you go back to the 30s when Huddersfield were a great team, or all these other teams, or go back a century until Preston North End or whatever. It's cyclical. Everybody has their time, and it's our time now. So we're going to enjoy it because we know someday it won't be our time. So why don't we enjoy it now?
Well, and actually, that's another thing I did want to ask you about is the whole thing about the money, right? Yeah. So we talked about success. Everyone levies that at you, the money, this, right? Obviously, you've been a long-time fan of Man City. Yeah. You know when you were there when we were shit, basically, weren't you? Yeah. When you weren't anything, right? If you was to go back, a lot of fans, and this is a big divide with a lot of our fans, some say, I would love to have a big billionaire owner Man City got to splash cash and take us there. Then some say, no, I don't want to sell our soul, we want to be this. Where was you guys at when these rumours come? Was you like, do you know what, we want to get that success?
Well, was you... It came out of nowhere. Yeah. It honestly came out of nowhere. We didn't really know what was going on.
It was before the internet and social media was a big thing, wasn't it? So.
No, we'd had. We knew there were problems at City. You'd had this Thaksin Shinawatra, the ex-Thai Prime Minister or President, and he'd come on and taken over, but he didn't have a lot. He had problems with his money, getting hold of it, and at the time that the Abu Dhabi people took over, we were apparently just a couple of weeks away from administration. You know, we had people pumping money in because the money wasn't coming from him, and so we were in deep trouble. And most fans didn't know this until, you know, sometimes years afterwards. They didn't get all the details, and I still think there's a lot of details still to come out. But so it came out of the blue for us. You know, we got taken over, and suddenly a day or two later we're buying Robinho. It's like, hang on, what's going on? You know, it was a total shock for most of the fans. You know, and we don't ever deny that we got lucky. We got lucky. We won the lottery, but it's happened now, and and I'm sure if it had happened to somebody else, I don't think we'd feel as bad as some fan bases feel towards us. But most, I think, like West Ham fans, most genuine fans who have been through kind of stuff that we've been through, don't begrudge us winning stuff now. You know, as you say, most of our fan base have remained generally humble. You know, we're enjoying we're not going to not enjoy what's going on. We enjoy what's going on, but we try and we don't forget. You know, every time we hit 40 points, you can see all over social media, wow, we got the 40 points. You know, even if it's after like 15 games, we got 40 points, and the fans still have that, you know, black humour and whatever, that, wow, we just made it, we got 40 points, we're staying up again this season. It's a daft thing to say because, you know, we do it so early in the season now, but we don't forget where we come from. And I think that's really important. So no matter what success you get, no matter how much money's pumped into your club, you can't forget where you come from.
Another thing I wanted to ask you before we just get into the game. Another thing that Man City fans, I see a lot of stick to get is about, and a lot of it could be unjustified. I don't know. Is about filling the stadium. I mean, we've had people talk about that to us and filling the stadium, and I pretty much know what the answer is to that for our thing. But you know, like not having this huge fan base and things like that. I mean, what do you say to that?
It's a combination of things. Look, as I said, we've got just over 40,000 season card holders. Our ground holds just over 55,000. Okay, for most games we sell all our home tickets. Now, people don't always go to the games, and people don't appreciate that. You got a midweek game. I find it difficult to go to midweek games. I've got two young lads. My missus works down in London half the week, so in a midweek game I can't take my kids to a midweek game because if we're getting home at 11 o'clock at night. You can't do that with young kids. That's 3 season cards. So, and this is going to happen, and people can't afford it, and it's another price of success. So we are going deep in all competitions. Last season we played 61 games in all competitions. You got to cut your cloth accordingly. You can't go to every game.
Didn't you play in London twice in the space of a few days?
We do it all the time. You know, I mean, off the top of my head now, we had a month where we were at Fulham away, Crystal Palace away, Wembley for the FA Cup semi-final, I think, and then we had Spurs coming up in the Champions League. Yeah. So there's 4 games there off the top of my head. And if you look at London games are not cheap. You know, we went to, I mean, it's a price of success. So we went to, obviously we had the Community Shield last year, Carabao Cup final, FA Cup semi-final, FA Cup final. So we had 4 games at Wembley. You know, going to Spurs as well. I mean, I think we went 5 times because the first, we had a game at Wembley against Spurs as well. So all adds up. All adds up, and like some of and also some of these games are like, they're in the evening, or you know, the game might start at 4 o'clock. Well, people got to go home.
Yeah, that's the problem, and people don't realise is football now it's made for people who watch it on the telly. Yeah, it's not now for people who go to the games. That's the thing. And that's the way they prioritise it. So it does get hard, and especially if you've got a family. And as well, you got to think of a lot of the tickets are sold to corporate fans who only come for the big games. Yeah, exactly. They're not coming when you got Fulham at home or Norwich at home. They don't bother to, and their seat stays empty. They're rich. They don't need to, and that's why you get these empty seats.
I mean, people had a go at us for. Well, I think we played Burton. We had 30-odd thousand fans. Yeah. Well, with all due respect, people at that time they're thinking, you know, I've got Champions League, I've got this, I've got FA Cup coming up. I can't remember if it was we had, you know, going down to London a lot. People got to say, well, where am I going to spend my money? Do I go to Burton, or do I save my money for the FA Cup or for a league game? Yeah. And people, you know. Individual tickets are not cheap. Season cards might be, but an individual ticket is going to still be 40 odd quid. So if you've not got a season card and a ticket's 40 odd quid, you think, well, you know, I can't go to them all. That's why I'm not buying a season card. I can't afford it. I can't afford to for that commitment. So you pick and choose your games. And with all due respect to Burton, are you going to go to a semi-final against Burton when you think we're going to win comfortably, or FA Cup against Rotherham? where we were quite full up then, I think. Rotherham brought a lot of fans. But are you going to go to them, or are you going to save it towards the end of the season when you think we've got that Leicester game, or we've got these games at home that can win us the title? Yeah. If you're on a budget, most people, I think, would save it for the big games at the end of the season. So, and they were packed out.
Yeah, but this goes back to, and this is what I've always said with us. If there's an abundance of games, and you think you might even the friendly, make it cheaper. Because then the most important thing is that you fill the stadium, right? And if you make it cheaper to the fans, people would say, do you know what? I can afford. I can afford to go this many games because of the price of it. Priority should be getting fans in that stadium
exactly.
all the time.
The thing is, if you say if we were selling our tickets at 20 quid each, stadium would be bouncing. It'd be full all the time. Yeah. If we're selling league games at that, but they're trying to make money. Yeah. And it comes back to money at the end of the day. So it's up to the administrators, it's up to the clubs and the management and the boards to find that balance between filling the stadium and getting the maximum money they can. So there's a price, and I still think they're searching for that price.
And I think about having a stadium at half capacity at £40. Let's be hypothetical with that. £40 a ticket at half capacity versus £20 a ticket at full capacity. You're making the same money at the end of the day. So.
But I think the club look at it and say, look, we're going to get 50-odd thousand every game anyway. Our ticket sales, I think, from the sales, doesn't mean they turn up, was 98.3% last season. So for our home games, the ticket sales 98.3%, something like that. Liverpool's actually went down. We laugh at them for this. That was their best season in living memory, and the number of seats sold at Anfield went down. So it's just crazy.
Looking at the game tomorrow,
looking
at the game, what are your thoughts on the match tomorrow? How are you feeling?
Well, obviously, look, without just being honest, without being arrogant, we won at least 30 games in each of the last 2 seasons. Yeah. So we're going to feel good. We're going to feel confident.
If no one would believe you, everyone would call bullshit if you came on here and said, I'm not feeling confident, I think West Ham could cause us. No. You've watched your team, like I said, all these past years.
Yeah.
You've got to be real, innit? And you've got to be real. And
if we're real, we lost 4 league games last season. Out of 38, we lost now in the Carabao Cup, nothing in the FA Cup, and in the Champions League, I think we lost 2 games.
See, that's the thing. City, you have your blips throughout the season, but Sod's Law dictates that none of them blips come against West Ham. That's the problem.
I think that's a problem for you guys. But but it's reality. It is reality. We will lose a few games in the season. It's normal. We're not as good as Arsenal's Invincibles, apparently. Even 100 points isn't as good as Arsenal's Invincibles.
I would have that debate. I would definitely have that debate.
But look, we are up there to get beat. If teams take a risk, I think if you defend and say, look, we'll shut up shop, and you're going to generally get beat. And that's teams find that if you give us 70% of the ball, sometimes 75%, you're not testing out our defenders. If you're going to rely on dead ball situations, you're not going to get much change out of City, really. We're not great at corners and free kicks and whatever, but if we're going to have so much of the ball, you're not going to put our defence, who are our weakest link, under pressure. And I've said this in the pre-season. I've said it every time I do a preview with a fan from another channel, and they ask us, how can you beat City? I said, well, get behind the fullbacks. You look at Zinchenko's a midfielder at left back. He will always make at least one big glaring error in a game. He'll switch off. He'll jump up for a ball that sails over his head. He will make mistakes, and it's up to the other teams to actually go for us. If you sit back, come on. If you sit back, you got Kevin De Bruyne, you got David Silva, Sterling, Bernardo Silva. Someone's going to break you down. Someone's going to make that killer pass, and surely you don't want them to be making that killer pass 25 yards out from goal. You want it to be around the halfway line. You want us to be playing there rather than deep in your half.
Yeah. So bring it to City, basically, which I can see us doing. I think I can generally see us doing.
I honestly hope you do. It makes for a better game, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you take it to us, it'll make for a better spectacle for the fans, and I think that's your best chance. Defending, I don't think you're going to get anywhere just defending. You're relying on too much luck if you're defending.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I can see Pellegrini just going for it. Any West Ham players that you think could cause trouble?
Depends who plays. I mean, I know you got a couple of players we talked about. That Haller, was that French guy you bought from Germany? off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's in your been in much in your pre-season or.
Yeah, I think he's played the past couple of games. He's looked good for now. We've had Lanzini as well. Lanzini.
I'm glad you got rid of Andy Carroll.
Yeah. So are we.
No, Lanzini can cause trouble. I'm not worried about Chicharito, although he does pop up from time to time.
I think maybe if he comes off the bench, I think that's an option as a super sub. I think that's where he's strengths.
How about how's Antonio? Is he still knocking about?
Yeah, Antonio definitely. We've got such a stacked sort of thing on the wing. I think he could come off the bench. I don't think he'll start. I think he can come off the bench and really cause problems. So, I just want to see us take it to you. And,
me too.
I just have a great game.
I don't care what this, obviously I expect us to win because I'm just, after the last 2 seasons, we're used to it. But I want a team to go at City because we've seen so many teams, especially when they come to Manchester, just put 9 men, 10 men behind the ball and they can never get out. They look for the outlet, but there's no one to support them. And you could have a guy up front on his own and the nearest players are like 20, 30 yards away. And unless he's really top and can hold that ball up for 3 or 4 seconds to give others a chance, he'll get swamped. So I just want you to take the game to us, and whatever happens, be proud that you've actually taken the game to us.
Yeah, that's it. Even if we don't win or we get smashed, and as long as we get an entertaining game, and then we can kick on for the season. So I want to pressure for an honest score prediction.
Score prediction 2-0 City.
2-0? Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what? If we came out with 2-0, I wouldn't feel too bad, Like, most of the time, you end up putting 4 goals past us.
Well, I remember them when we put 6 past you.
Yeah.
Big Sam
jeez. When was that? When he and then that was over 2 legs. It ended up being over 10, and he played.
Was it 9-0 overall or something?
Yeah, it was. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Hopefully 2-0.
I think last season we scored fewer goals, and I think more often I found City shutting up shop once we were 2-0 up. We started rather than keep pushing out because we were playing so many games. Every 3 days we had a game, every 3 or 4 days. So I think we started easing off the pedal a little bit. So that's another reason to think 2-0. And it's first game of the season. Your guys, you're at home. You'll be up for it. You've got a few new players. You'll have 60,000 here tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think the place will be buzzing. The wind will be swirling.
Yeah.
So we got our Klopp-like excuses ready with that win. So it's going to be a good game. End of the day, it's going to be a good game. But 2-0, I think we'll be happy with that. I think you would too.
Yeah. Do you know what? I want to win, but I just don't want to see us get smashed. We always get the tough fixtures opening game of the season, it seems. But
get over and done with.
So hopefully, and this is the always love going into games with no expectations on the floor, and sometimes when you're there, being there when we pull out a surprise. There is nothing like it.
Don't talk about surprises.
I've been there so many times. No one's expecting anything. You pull out a surprise, and it's the best feeling ever. So if we pull out a surprise,
I've not travelled 200 miles for a surprise. No.
So we get to see your boy Zabaleta with a smile and Pellegrini with a smile on their face on the winning side. Come on, you got to do it for Zaba. Do it for Zaba.
What, lose for Zaba?
Yeah, lose for Zaba. Come on. So I'm looking forward to the game
anyway,
mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really interesting chatting to you and finding out a lot of the side of what Man City fans think. So pleasure, mate. Hopefully we can link up tomorrow. So do go check out Ray's channel, Man City Fans Chat.
Yeah.
Do check them out. Give them a subscribe. And
shall I give a come on you irons?
Yes. Come on you irons.